So we have some people coming on this. I don't know what order you see us. On my screen, Sue's up in the top left. I'm right. Am I the same on yours or not?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is Kris.
Hi.
Kris was a youth exchange student. She went to Japan.
A really long time ago.
Yeah. And then Steve Miller is over here. Steve lives down in Columbus.
Okay.
He was an air traffic controller.
Okay.
What were you in? Are you in the Army or the Air Force, or what were you?
Me?
Yeah.
Actually, I was in a Navy artillery.
Okay.
Coastal artillery.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're completely done with that? You don't have to go back for reserve duty or anything?
Only maybe in once in 5 years that we have some kind of extra duty, but it's only a few days to exercise.
Okay.
And soon I'm old enough that I don't have to go anymore. But actually, I like it quite much.
Yeah.
Quite fancy.
So how's even the kids? How are they doing?
Very well. Actually, Aino is already now 12 years old and she's quite independent.
Yeah. I love the pictures of you and your son on the farm. That's those are cool.
Yeah.
Is he going to help Daddy out someday?
Yeah, I think that he will. Actually, he is already now helping me in my jobs.
Is he?
He can do some things and help me a little bit. For example, if we are putting some bales to the sheeps, and he will go and rush or push the sheeps away, that I can put the bale in safety.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And how old is he?
Sorry?
How old is he?
He is 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Our little grandson is 6. So, and you know, our son, I told you he has a mini tree farm.
Yeah.
He has 50 acres. How many acres you have? Over 1,000. And
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not enough. I'll try to buy all the time. Yeah, I'll try to buy always.
All you farmers are like, it's never enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Been involved with youth exchange over the years, just like what you're getting involved now. She was on you were district chair, weren't you?
Yep.
District chair, and she's been with Ohio Erie forever. And I got to notice that Ohio Erie's got their meeting in July. That's way down by you. Otterbein isn't far from.
Oh yeah, Otterbein is literally 5 minutes from here.
Yeah, so you could go over there and get a fix again with all the.
I could. Don't tempt me.
Well, Kris, why don't you start off and tell us about where you are, what you're doing now, where you went in youth exchange, and when, and all that kind of stuff.
I thought this meeting was only an hour long. Because I could do that all day. But okay, I'm in Columbus, and I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and I was sponsored by a very small club in Pennsylvania. I went to Japan for a year down in Nagasaki. So before I went, I was pretty nervous that, you know, with hostilities with the United States, that I would be poisoned or killed or something by my host family, but I didn't have any problems at all. And I was there for a year, and when I came back, I came to Ohio State University to study Japanese and business. And it turned out that Honda of America, Honda Cars, is headquartered here in the Columbus area. So I didn't know that at the time. I came for my degree, but as soon as we woke up the morning of orientation at Ohio State, our waitress at the hotel was Japanese, and I was super homesick for Japan at the time. so for me, I like latched on to that poor woman, and she had to endure a friendship, but she connected me with pretty high level people at Honda, and I started teaching English immediately. I was 19 and I had no idea about anything other than that I was a Native American and English speaker. And so I started teaching Japanese at that point and started to intern at Japanese factories. And by the time I graduated from Ohio State, I had pretty much established myself with the Japanese community here and some of the companies. So I was teaching and working in the Japanese community, and by the time I had my first job, I was using Japanese all day and as like the only American in a Japanese company. So it was kind of like being in Japan in America, which was really fantastic. So my life kind of marched on, and I left the Japanese company but continued using my Japanese. Even today, I use my Japanese every day. There's so many Japanese here in Columbus that I joined the Rotary Club of Columbus, which is one of the big ones, and I loved Rotary, like intent on having perfect attendance forever and ever. And by that time I had started a company, and with one of the main purposes to be able to join Rotary. So I joined Rotary in downtown Columbus and was a member for quite a while. And Roger Veers from my district here in Central Ohio recruited me to be on the Youth Exchange Committee, and I had just joined Rotary. I was in Rotary months. And so I became inbound chair at our district, and then I did that for 5 or 7 years. And that district, I don't know.
You're going in and out.
What should I do?
No, you're okay.
There you are.
I think it's just it must be internet
It must
connection.
be internet.
Yeah,
It's probably us.
So after I became, and then I was district chair for a while, about 5 or 7 years or something, I don't know. And then I left our company and became the executive director of the Rotary Club of Columbus. They have a full-time position.
Oh.
And I served as their executive director for the club and their major foundation until I became pregnant. And then I planned on staying there and working because it was my dream job, totally. But I couldn't do it. So now I'm at home. I have a 12-year-old, and I homeschool him. So we are still really super connected to a lot of people in Rotary because they're my professional mentors in all kinds of professions and things. So, and then I was district chair, district secretary and treasurer for 5 years. They allowed me to stay connected to Rotary in that position, which was really nice. So now you guys are my lifeline to Rotary again, and I'm leader of a large ESL, English as a second language school, so to speak. Here in Columbus, we have mostly Japanese. About 93% of our students are Japanese. So I use Japanese every day and kind of liaison with a lot of organizations for them in the area. So I owe a lot to Rotary. I love Rotary. So that's my story. Was that story enough?
That's a great story. Yeah.
It's a great story. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of when we met. It had to be at least 25 years ago.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah.
I think
And I'm going to get back to you after some other people have a chance to have you tell a story about your adventures in Japan.
Yeah.
Juhana, before you got to run off, did you have some meeting you're going to have to go to?
Yeah, actually I booked in a 4 o'clock meeting because I thought that this meeting would start 2 o'clock, and now it's 11 past 3.
Okay.
at this time. Yeah.
All right.
Because
Okay.
we have
So
winter
I'm
time.
going to give you a chance to tell your story too. Where you live now, where you went to. And,
Yeah. No,
a little bit about your life.
I live in Finland, in southern Finland, in a city called Lohja. Actually, I have lived here all my life, but when I was studying, then I lived in Helsinki and Espoo when I studied in university. But I'm doing some farming and forestry business nowadays, and we have also some stone crushing business. So we sell some gravel and things like that. And I was in a Rotary Exchange program, only summer exchange. It was summer 1996. And I was in Elyria, Ohio. I stayed with Jim and Susan. And I have to tell that it was one of the best times I ever have had. It was something like I was in 4 weeks with your family. Or was it 4 weeks? Something like that.
Yeah, a little over 4 weeks.
Yeah. Whatever the short-term program was. Yeah. We picked you and Vili up at the airport, and you came to us, and Vili went with the Schaefers.
Yeah. And it was really great. I just showed the pictures to my daughter. She is now 13, and she is really enthusiastic to go to the exchange student. He is considering having a 1 year, but I would say that only that 4 weeks, it was really nice time, although it was quite short, but I think that it was really good for me. Maybe 1 year would have been too much, but it was really great time, yeah. And we saw a lot of things in what happened in USA. We visited some Amish village. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we saw Niagara Falls and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and everything interesting. Yeah.
I'll tell you a little secret.
You can squeeze into 4 weeks. We did.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little secret about your exchange. At that time, Rotary District 6600 did not have short-term youth exchange. So I was approached to start the program. And Ohio Erie did not have short-term youth exchange. So I went to Central States, which was Illinois, and went there for training, and they sold me on the program, and I said, great, let's do it. And then it didn't turn out like they told us it was going to, because all of a sudden they sent me this list and said, 25 students are coming to you.
Oh my God.
I said, in 2 weeks. I said, I don't have any host families. So at one point, Sue and I thought we were going to have 20
Summer camp
in our basement. But we rallied. Everybody took students, and Johanna got to stay with us. We sort of felt bad. Sue and I always felt bad because we were both working. But Jeannie Schaefer, who was hosting another one, she did a lot of taking the other with Tilly from Finland that went too. And so they did things, and we would trade back and forth and do all sorts of things. But we packed a lot of stuff in 4 weeks, and it was a lot of fun. And since then, we figured out the short term. The way it works now is we match them up with another student their same age. Then they go and stay there for 4 weeks, and then that student in turn comes and stays in their home. And it's very comfortable for people that are nervous about sending their children away, because they know where they're going. They know the parents that they're being hosted by, and in turn, that student that comes here. So short term, to me, is not used as much as it should be. And it can be a springboard many times for somebody to go on and do a long term. That doesn't mean it's the end all, but it's a great experience. And people that say, oh, you can't get it to culture, I think Juhana will testify that you can. And when Juhana was here, he had us call him George. You know why? Do you remember why?
Actually, there was two reasons. One was that my English student name in a Finnish school in English lessons was George, because we all had English names there, and I was George there. But another reason was that I think that I was a great fan of George Bush, the older.
That was George Bush. George Bush the first. Yeah.
Yeah, the older one, not the second.
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah,
not Bubba. Yeah. It was the first one.
Yeah. And actually, there was some. It was 1996. It was an election year, and there was was it Bob Dole, who was a candidate? Yeah, right. And I think that we saw in a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that there was some kind of happening where was Bob Dole, and I had a sign which was with the Bob Dole for president. Oh, and I bring that to the Finland. It was, I don't know where it is now, but it was just a few years ago when I still saw it. Oh, Bob Dole for president sign.
Yeah, that reminds me of the story of when we used to take a group of youth exchange students to Washington, D.C. every year. We did it 9 years. And one group, Mondale came in the State House. We were in the State House. And this student walked right over to him. We were mortified because there was Secret Service all over the place. And he shook his hand.
He wanted a picture with him.
He wanted a picture with him. Yeah. So he did it. You know, I can't imagine that happening today. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Sarah, tell us your story.
Yeah, so I went abroad a lot more recently. I was in Germany after I graduated high school in 2011. I lived in a city called Braunschweig, which is kind of by Hanover, or about an hour and a half west of Berlin. So kind of like smack dab in the middle there. That's where they speak, according to them, the best German. But I mean, I've heard it other places too, but it's the High German. So I had that with my host families, but my school that I attended, they put me in a school that had extracurriculars, which was very rare over there because I said that I was interested in doing music. So I played tenor saxophone in a jazz band at the school, but the school was one that was located in the low income area, the public funded housing. So there was a lot of immigrant families that lived there and their kids went to that school. So most of the people that I was friends with were not native German speakers. So it was kind of a mix of really terrible, awful grammar German and like high German. So I don't know if I can really say that I speak fluent German, even when I left immediately, but I still had a wonderful year. I never really connected with my host families necessarily, but I spent a lot of time with one of my exchange friends' host families, and I spent almost a lot of weeknights and weekends there. I basically lived there, and I still see them when I go and visit sometimes. Since I've been back, I decided I wanted to do something that allowed me to interact with international people. Didn't do too much research further than there was something called international relations, so I went with that. I did a bachelor's at Cleveland State University, didn't know what I wanted to do still, so I did a master's degree there as well in global interactions. After that, I left and did I worked for a company called Dwellworks, which I'm very happy to no longer be there, mainly because it's a very difficult name to pronounce and no one understands what you're saying. But they did relocation management, helping people move with their jobs. So if you worked for a big multinational corporation, they would help you move to a new location, new country. I worked in the intercultural department, coordinating cultural trainings for people as they were moving abroad, as well as for their trailing spouses and their children. Now I currently work for the Girl Scouts of Northeast Ohio, not really doing anything with international, but I did want to move toward nonprofit. And so I work in the product sales department, coordinating the various financial literacy programs, which means cookies. And so that's where I'm at now. I don't really use my German at all. Any German that you meet wants to speak English anyway, so it's not the most useful of languages in an international business sense. But I do have a really good friend that I made there that we've been able to, either she comes to visit me or I go visit her every year since I left. So it's definitely impacted me in at least friendships. The friend that I stayed at her host family a lot, she's getting married in April and I'm going to be in that wedding in Mexico City. So there's the friendships I definitely kept a lot. But yeah, that's my experience.
Is your dad involved in youth exchange?
Not so much anymore. He's more involved with helping with the peace conference that Ohio, or I don't know if it's Ohio. Yeah, it's Ohio Erie that puts it on. But he's stepped back a little bit from youth exchange. But yes, I am now the.
Well, he was chairman for several years, and how many different students have you had live in your home?
I think 4. The first exchange student that got me interested in it was when I was a freshman in high school, Natsuki Fukuda. She was from Japan, and she convinced me that that would be something that I would want to do. But yeah.
And we've been talking to Natsuki about thinking about joining our club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes more than one ask.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Just that,
Let me add her.
She has a new baby and she's back working again. So I think her life is pretty busy, which we can understand. But we try to explain to her that online you can be busy and still be connected to Rotary. So Sarah, you need to get the message out.
I'll pass it along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I have to go now.
Okay.
Offline. Yeah.
All right.
But it was really nice to see you all.
It's wonderful to see you, and give your wife and kids a hug for us.
Yeah, give love to everybody. We miss you guys.
Yeah. Say greetings to
And
Tyler.
don't forget, you can come to Florida sometime when you're
Tyler
cold.
a hi for you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, Kris, we're going to wrap up this thing by, I want you to tell the story about your experience in Japan trying to adapt to your host family and what they were doing.
Well, I thought you were going for a totally different story.
The going
to nunchuck
martial
story.
arts studio.
You're talking about my near-death experience.
Yes, that one, yes.
Okay. All right. So I love sports. And when I was in Japan, my third family, my father was the director of the arts center in our city, which was huge. Like, he was a doctor, but he was like chairman of the board or something. And so we did all kinds of things. We were exposed to all kinds of personalities and traveling shows and athletes and things. And I told him that I wanted to get involved in Japanese sports. So there obviously are several. And karate is the most known, of course, to Americans. So he connected me to a local club. Not a school club, but a club, competitive club. So I was there a lot, like every night we had practice, and I was working my way up through rehearsal, like practices and things. And they asked me if I wanted to do weapons. And I said, sure, that sounds awesome. So we started into, Americans say nunchucks. We did nunchucks. And I was getting pretty good at it because I was a majorette in America. So it was kind of similar in ways. Anyway, one night we were at practice, and man, I hit myself in the face with the nunchuck and knocked myself out. I ended up breaking my nose, but that's not the funny part. So anyway, I'm laying flat on the ground in the karate practice area, and Japan is all like fluorescent lighting. They have it's super bright everywhere. And so this practice area was no different. And here I am, I'm laying flat on the ground, and all these people are down looking around my face, asking me questions, asking, are you okay? Are you okay? But from my perspective, I'm laying on the ground and I'm looking up, and it was like a tunnel. All these people around me looking down on my face, and it's bright light behind them, and they're all talking in like language like gibberish, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've died. And the worst part is you have to learn another language to get into heaven. It must have knocked the Japanese out of my mind, and it was really shocking, like scary for a second. But then pretty soon my Japanese came back. But I thought I was dead and in heaven with another foreign language to tackle. But it turned out okay. I still have marks to prove that I went through that.
That's one thing. If you're a youth exchange student, you have to have a sense of humor and go with the flow, don't you?
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I remember, I think the first time I heard that was at an Ohio Erie meeting in front of 400 students that were outbound. And Kris is up on stage telling them how they have to adapt to whatever the circumstances are and to get along with their host family and just fit in. So. Well, I think it's been a great
I was wondering if Sarah could give us sort of an update on the inbound students this year and what's going on in the district.
Yeah, sure. So far, everybody's doing really well.
How many are here?
There's 8.
Okay.
4, no, wait, not 4 and 4. It's 5 and 3. 5 girls, 3 boys. They all seem to be doing pretty well. Everybody is making friends, acclimating. They all have their own unique challenges and things like that, but some of them are getting into sports. Some of them are getting into, one of them was in marching band. They're all getting very active and involved. Oh, sorry, my cat. My cat. But yeah, so everybody's doing really well. Our next get together is in February. They've been trying to get something together in January, but nobody can really set on what they want to do. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get something together, but they would love to have an overnight. So if any of you know of any place in the middle of Ohio, or not Ohio, District 6600 that has an interesting thing, feel free to let me know. But yeah, otherwise it's going very well.
What countries are here?
There is India, Brazil, Italy, Argentina. As I'm listing them off, they keep escaping me. It's too early for this.
Well, sounds like a good mix.
Yeah. A fairly good spread all across the globe.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, I appreciate everybody getting up at 8 a.m. I thought this was fun, interesting, and we'll have to do it again. Renee from Germany couldn't make it because he was coaching his kids soccer. It's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Germany. And then Dan, who is in Australia out fighting those bushfires. He must be continue to do that. We'll hear from him later. But thank everyone. Have a great day. And for you people in Ohio, I guess it's even warm today for you, isn't it? In the middle of January. Here in Florida, it'll only be 80, 81 today. So.
Poor babies.
I know.
Okay. Well, thank all.
All
Take
right.
care.
Care, guys.
Thank you. Good to see you all. Have a good day. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.